at 11.
One family's terror.
A nightmare scenario as thieves kick in the front door.
A woman shows me where she hid while an armed man ransacked her home with her children asleep upstairs.
Phantom towing.
Our investigation uncovered cars stolen off the side of the road.
Now we're back on the case as Governor Pat McCrory signs a new law to protect every driver in the state.
George Zimmerman pulled over for speeding.
What a coincidence.
The weapon found in the vehicle.
And why the officer let him go.
A lull in the storms tonight. Find out if you'll need an umbrella again tomorrow.
This WBTV high-definition program is sponsored by Honda Dealers of the Carolinas. WBTV News at 11 starts right now.
A woman and her children were home as men with guns kicked down their door and ransacked their house. Good evening and welcome. I'm Molly Grantham.
I'm Paul Cameron. Tonight, that woman showed WBTV where she ran to safety. The break-in happened at a home on Pine Harbor Road in southwest Charlotte. All new at 11 o'clock, Brigida Mack obtained a search warrant. She has new information about how this all happened. Brigida?
Paul, two things struck me as I went through this search warrant tonight. One, these suspects were caught less than 2 hours after the crime happened. And two, the victim got 90% of her belongings back. That almost never happens. Tonight, she's sharing her story.
Back this way.
Nikki Laney shows us the laundry room where she hid after two men, one of them armed, kicked in her front door last Thursday morning.
It was just like this dark, and I went to grab this gun that was at the back of the drawer.
Unloaded, Nikki says she had no time to load any bullets.
By the time I grabbed it like this, they were in my house. And all I had time to do was just jump behind this door here and just stand here in the dark.
We're being careful not to show her face, but Nikki says the harrowing ordeal began when a man rang her doorbell the first of 3 times.
I didn't answer it thinking it was a satellite salesman.
Homesick, she went back to lay down, and moments later, the thieves burst inside.
I knew what was going on, so I jump up and I grab my house phone and run into my washroom.
All the while, her children, ages 14 and 5, lay sleeping upstairs. Nikki dialed 911, hoping the crooks would never hear or see her.
If I would have jumped out, I'm afraid he would have shot me, or something else could have happened, and I didn't want my kids to see me dead.
They never bothered her kids, just ransacked her bedroom, and according to police, stole her iPhone, some cash, and jewelry. Tonight, Archie Fleming and Theodore Fuller are in jail after police say they tracked them down through Nikki's stolen phone. While her sense of security is shattered, she says she's just glad to be alive.
You don't know what you'll do until that situation, and the best thing you can do is not panic, because panic can get you killed.
Now, Nikki told me that she later found out her 14-year-old actually woke up during all of this, and he saw the gunman sort of poke his head into the room. Nikki says he pretended to be asleep, and so things worked out for the good in this situation. But we know in a lot of burglaries where the victim is home, things turn out very differently. We're live in Charlotte tonight. I'm Brigida Mack, WBTV on your side.
So glad it turned out well for her, Brigida. Thank you. This home invasion happened in CMPD's Steel Creek division. We used WBTV's crime tracker to learn this area of the city has seen a drop of more than 10% in residential burglaries. There were 158 by this time last year. So far in 2013, there have been just 142.
A 12-year-old girl is missing right now, and police say they hope you can help find her. 6 hours since we first showed you this picture of Tavonia Van Diver, and she still has not been seen. She disappeared from her home on Coldwater Lane in East Charlotte on July 23rd. Police say Tavonia has run away before, but investigators do believe she's in real danger tonight. So if you see her, please call CMPD.
Information at 11. Prosecutors in Cleveland just explained how Ariel Castro held 3 women captive in his home for nearly 10 years. We learned Castro lured one of the girls into his home with the promise of a puppy. They also say one time he locked them in a car in his garage for 3 days while somebody was visiting. Castro is back in court tomorrow to be sentenced. He pleaded guilty last week to 937 counts of kidnapping, rape, assault, and other charges.
The man acquitted of murder for the shooting death of Trayvon Martin had a new run-in with police. An officer outside Dallas, Texas, pulled over George Zimmerman and found a weapon waiting in the glove box.
Honda pickup, gray in color. Zimmerman out of Florida.
A police dashboard camera shows an officer approaching a pulled-over pickup truck. In the driver's seat, George Zimmerman. He was stopped for speeding Sunday in Forney, Texas, about 20 miles east of Dallas.
Are you clear warrants and stuff?
Absolutely.
Zimmerman told the officer he was headed nowhere in particular and that he had a handgun in the glove box. The officer went back to his patrol car to run Zimmerman's license.
Just take it easy. Just don't play. Go ahead and shut your glove compartment and don't play with your firearm, okay?
It's been almost 3 weeks since Zimmerman was cleared of all charges in the shooting death of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin. He hasn't been seen much, but he has been in the news. 2 weeks ago, Zimmerman helped rescue a couple and their 2 children after their SUV overturned on a Florida highway. The 29-year-old has been the subject of national demonstrations. Protesters want Zimmerman charged with federal civil rights violations for Martin's death. After checking for outstanding warrants, the officer let Zimmerman go with a warning for speeding.
There's your license. Received a warning date for your speed. That's it.
The city manager in the town where Zimmerman was pulled over says police records do not show how fast he was driving. A spokesman for Zimmerman's legal team says he's baffled a traffic stop would become national news.
A shocker in court today as a judge granted bond to a woman accused of stalking and killing another woman. Bond for Marlene Johnson set at $450,000. She's accused of stabbing Shirley Pierce to death in her Kannapolis home. Pierce's family tells us tonight they're stunned by that decision. And a woman accused of killing the former mayor of York, South Carolina, hauled to court today and accused of violating her bond.
We watched as Julia Phillips had a run-in with the judge. Listen.
Ms. Phillips, if you interrupt me one more time, yes, sir, I'm not going to have any further hearings. I'm going to hold you in contempt. Do you understand?
Prosecutors say Phillips killed Melvin Roberts back in 2010. Back then, the judge put her on house arrest and told her she could only leave to see her lawyer, a doctor, or go to church. Phillips admitted in court today she violated that order. Despite the violation, the judge allowed Phillips to remain on house arrest.
A WBTV investigation revealed tow truck drivers stealing cars off the side of the road and selling them for scrap. The vehicles end up like this, crushed. But since our investigation, lawmakers have changed state law. All new at 11. David Spunt learned how you're now protected. David?
Well, Paul, with all the controversial bills and laws out there in Raleigh, this one kind of got lost in the mix. But if you're a driver, it's a very important new law. It may be kind of fun to watch this, but when it's your car, not so much.
Just keep playing over in my head what happened.
Back in March, Kings Mountain resident Cinda Fussell and her fiancé Scott were on their way to a doctor's appointment in Charlotte when their truck broke down. They called a tow company and left in another family member's car to get Scott to work. But by the time the company arrived on I-85, the truck gone. Police say these two towed the truck to a local scrapyard, had it crushed, and walked away with a pocket full of cash. Fussell says the truck was in her husband's family for 20 years.
Every time he got in that truck, he could think of his dad, he could think of his brother. Now, he don't have that to hold on to no more.
But things are changing in North Carolina for people like Cinda Fussell. A new law recently signed by Governor Pat McCrory makes it harder for Cinda's story to happen again. Kings Mountain State Representative Tim Moore wrote the law that now requires scrapyards to hold all new arrivals for 72 hours before crushing them. It also forces scrapyards to use a computer software system that cooperates with local police departments to find stolen cars.
At the end of the day, there'll be some folks who are going to be crooked and going to try to steal, and they're always going to be there. What we did was we made the law tougher. We raised the class felony.
Meaning heavy fines, even jail time if scrapyards and criminals break the new law. And that is music to Cinda Fussell's ears.
At least we got some satisfaction that will help other people.
The law goes into effect December 1st. In the newsroom, David Spunt, WBTV, on your side.
David, thank you. A health alert for diabetes patients tonight. A test strip millions of you use to check your blood sugar level may not work correctly. The FDA is issuing a recall. Now, this affects 62 million strips already sold. The strips covered are marketed under the brand names Nova Max Blood Glucose Test Strips and Nova Max Plus Glucose Meter Kits. The FDA says the strips are contaminated and may not show the correct reading.
Catawba County Emergency Management just sent us new information on the damage this week's flooding caused. High water damaged more than 700 properties. Flooding destroyed 4 homes. 60 of them have major damage. And a viewer sent us this incredible time-lapse footage of the flooding which hit the South Fork River this week. You can see the time and the date for each snapshot on the bottom of your screen. Yeah. The water rose quickly Saturday the 27th. By Sunday night, the 28th, the camera is completely submerged. The next day, you can tell the water is receding, and the ground is visible again by Tuesday morning. But to see that time lapse really makes it clear when we say fast, it was fast. And you can see a slideshow of all the pictures on our website, WBTV.com.
I was pretty surprised when I saw that online. You ought to take a look at it. Right now, Eric Thomas is tracking our chance for more rain tomorrow.
And those chances look pretty darn good at this point, Paul. Today we didn't even have a front coming through the area. Tomorrow we will have that trigger. But where's that rain right now? Dual pole power Doppler network, the worst of it, and the heaviest now well off to our east. The middle of our viewing area, very quiet at the moment. A few light sprinkles trying to work their way back into the mountains. Again, this is all now moving up toward Raleigh. Had a garden variety shower moving out of Caldwell County. That is decaying into Alexander, but it is this front that is dropping down from the Great Lakes. That is going to race our direction, and that means tomorrow, again, pretty active. We'll talk more about it coming up in your First Alert forecast.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Only WBTV was there as rescuers plucked a fisherman stranded in a creek by rushing waters. His first words after returning to safety in about 5 minutes. For now, you can track these storms as they move through the Carolinas. Click on the weather tab and use the interactive radar on our website, WBTV.com. And always, you can download our weather app for iPhone and Android to follow the storms on the go.
I want to give you an update. Dish Network could take WBTV off the air tonight after midnight. That's less than 30 minutes from now.
WBTV's parent company, Raycom Media, has been trying to negotiate a deal with Dish Network for months, but unfortunately has not been successful.
The proposed deal is very similar to what other cable and satellite companies like Time Warner Cable, Charter Communications, and DirecTV have already agreed to.
If Dish Network does take us off the air, you can still watch our local newscasts on your computer or mobile device on WBTV.com, or free over the air, or you can subscribe to other providers such as Time Warner Cable, Charter Cable, or DirecTV.
Now you can call Dish Network 1-888-236-2202 to voice your concerns. That's 1-888-236-2202. Check WBTV.com for any more details.
We are back with exclusive video as rescuers pull a stranded fisherman to safety. Again, that's next here at 11 o'clock.